if you want to be a part of future mock drafts, like the startup one that we're going to be doing in a couple weeks, make sure you join the Patreon. That is where you get access because we are doing this draft with our Patreon members.
Yep.
You can be involved. You can be on YouTube. All you got to do is join and be a good participant.
Yeah, exactly. So patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind, and you do get a free 1-week trial. So definitely come try it out, hang out, and it's great. You get to DM us. We respond. Takes me a little bit sometimes. Sorry, busy, life, work, all that good stuff. But everyone that's in here is either a crew member or they are a patron of ours. All right, so we got a 1-minute timer. Nate, Ashton Genty here, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Ashton Genty. I really haven't seen anyone else go. I know there's a couple leagues where you do have some IDP, and Travis Hunter could go there, but I think any other draft is Ashton Genty.
Right. I completely agree with that. I mean, I guess you never know. Oh, there it is. You know what? Actually, if you have any leagues where you had a player not named Ashton Genty go first overall, please leave a comment and let me know this, 1 QB, 2 QB scoring format. Is it IDP? I want to know all that stuff. I'm just curious. Every draft it's been Ashton Genty so far, so I want to know. All right, Nate, what do I do here? I got a minute to pick. Martin Hampton's off the board. Cam Ward's off the board.
Tyler Shuck seems like a great pick.
Tyler Shuck seems a little bit early for Tyler Shuck right now. It feels too early for Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland too.
Mm-hmm. Even with the tight end premium, I think it's still early for those guys.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to plant my flag and take Tet McMillan at the
All right.
I'm happy about it.
I love the landing spot for Tet. I've talked about that plenty. I love Travis Hunter. I think maybe he's a better objective, in a vacuum, the better player. But McMillan with Bryce Young, who I'm very high on, it was a roller coaster of a year last year, but we ended the year really strong. I think the upside is pretty large for McMillan over there. I think maybe not this year, not a rookie year, but if Bryce Young is who I think he is, I think McMillan has low end wide receiver 1 upside.
And I'll tell you what, Bryce Young, he did play a lot better at the end of the year last year. I think sky's the limit. Well, maybe he's too short for the sky to be the limit, but still, I think things are looking up for him for sure. So after Tet McMillan, we got Travis Hunter at the 105. It's great value. Looking back, maybe I should have taken Travis Hunter. I'm just all in on Tet. Travion Henderson at the 106. Quinshon Judkins at the 107. Tyler Warren, yeah, good spot for him at the 1-8. We got the 109 coming up. And so basically these draft selections were not selected for us. You could come in and pick wherever you want. I had not drafted anywhere at the 104 this year, so I decided.
Actually, Mike, this was the league that we were in last year, and that's why I'm the 112.
And I was going to say, of course, Nate assigned himself the 112 because,
Hey, like you've said before, you want to make sure you're mocking from places that you pick a lot in, so.
RJ Harvey goes off the board at the 109, which, to be honest with you, seems to be his current ADP. So I don't know if D-Cook's going to have a problem with that. Yeah, no one's saying anything in the chat, so that's fine. And all22_FF, this is Dustin, one of our newest contributors. So the thumbnails that you see for our YouTube videos, those are made by Dustin. He's making some graphics. He's contributing articles. DynastyRewind.com. Make sure you go check that out. I'm going to be working on an article while I'm on vacation about Trey Harris. So look for that coming up. Dustin's just kind of all over the place behind the scenes here, doing a fantastic job. Super stoked to have him on board. He took Emeka Egbuka at the 110, which, Nate, we talked about him previously.
That's who I wanted, man.
I'm going to let you make your pick. I'm going to talk about Egbuka for a little bit while you draft. I think, and somebody said in one of our comments, we had a short that Dustin put out, Nate talking about Egbuka. Man, I'll tell you what, you draft him at the 110 in a couple of years, this could look like maybe one of the steals of the draft.
I think so. I think, like I said before, one of the undervalued players in this draft class that you can get at a good value right now who is going to pay dividends. I saw training camp hype video, Baker Mayfield throwing it to Egbuka deep. Baker Mayfield's talking up Egbuka already. You can't get me more excited, man. That's who I was hoping to get the 112. I figured there wasn't much of a chance. I don't think he lasts the 112 in most leagues. I did pick up Caleb Johnson, though. I was kind of suspecting that I would have to pick up, Colston Loveland, which I'm fine with. I think he's a good talent. But if I can get Caleb Johnson, a running back who's going to get a lot of run over there with Pittsburgh, he's going to split the backfield with Jaylen Warren. But Caleb Johnson should kind of take on that Najee Harris role, kind of 1-for-1. And there's a lot that we've liked out of that Najee Harris role in the past. It's very consistent. I think, Caleb Johnson, maybe a little bit faster than Najee Harris was. So there's a bit more upside for some of those big runs. So I think there's a lot to do there. And Aaron Rodgers being there, you talked about this the other week, Mike. Aaron Rodgers being there definitely makes him look a little bit better than before when we weren't sure if he was going to be there or not. And we were looking at Mason Rudolph or Will Howard being the starting quarterback there.
Yeah, exactly. So love that. And you took him right after Colston Loveland, the 111 and a tight end premium. Feels pretty good. I mean, if you're getting Loveland at the 111, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I think especially in a tight end premium, I'm pretty good with that. I think I still have a couple leagues where I have drafts ready to go. I've only drafted about half my leagues. I think a lot of people get really excited and want to draft in the first month or two, which I get. Usually I used to have most of my drafts get through in that time. But it's interesting seeing, I think Loveland and usually Warren have dropped in the drafts that I have been doing. And I think I've continued to see them drop a little bit. I think you can just get one of either. So people just choose a different position.
Yeah. People ask me, when's your preferred time to draft? I can't say that I have a specific preference necessarily. I like doing
spacing it up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to do them all right after the draft, or I don't want them all in June.
I got 15 different leagues. I don't want to do them all in the same 2 weeks.
Yeah, I have too many leagues.
For sure. All right, Mike, tell us a couple picks and then your pick here.
Yeah, let's catch up. So after Caleb Johnson at the 112, which also I think is fantastic value, Matthew Golden, the first round wide receiver, going at the 2-1. Got our second quarterback coming off the board, Jackson Dart at the 2-2. Luther Burden, drafted by our own behind-the-scenes extraordinaire Sean Fournier at the 2-3. I, of course, went with Trey Harris. I'm a big Trey Harris guy. 2-3, 2-4 seems to be the sweet spot for him from all the mocks I'm seeing and all the leagues that I've drafted in already. That just seems to be his ADP right now. It's Jaden Higgins at the 2-5. Cam Scattaboo, who I did think about at the 2-4. There's just something about that Giants team where, Tyrone Tracy and Scattaboo, they both feel replaceable, man. And I know Scattaboo had a great career as a 4th-round pick. Tracy was, I believe, a 6th, but still, we don't know what that team's going to look like next year. Jack Besh at the 2-7. I love this pick by Huss. I love his team so far, his draft. Quinshawn and Jack Besh at the 1-7, 2-7. Fantastic.
Pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Bashul Tootin, the 2-8. Mason Taylor at the 2-9. Another guy who's considering at the 2-4. Shador Sanders, our 3rd quarterback off the board at the 2-10. Pat Bryant at the 2-11. And Nate with half a minute left. I love the Pat Bryant pick at the 2-11. Although I'm not happy about it. I don't want that ADP rising on Pat Bryant. I need him for all my 3rd-round picks. Nate, what do you got for me?
Oh, you're going to like this pick, Mike. I love Mason Taylor, but he went off the board of the 209. So I'm more than happy to pick up Terrence Ferguson here. I think you get either one of those guys at the back end of the second half, and you're kind of stealing. So if you miss out on Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren in the back half of the first round, there's a good chance you can get one of Mason Taylor or Terrence Ferguson. I think that's the way to play this draft. As much as I love Warren and Loveland, I think I talked about it the other day with Igbuka, or no, actually a couple days ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. Talking about Mason Taylor and not drafting Tyler Warren. Nothing against Tyler Warren, but if I can get Igbuka and Mason Taylor or Caleb Johnson, Terrence Ferguson, I feel like that's a better play for my team than getting a Colston Loveland and then a Jaden Blue. I think I do a better job helping my team out, even though I don't get that stud tight end. I get a really good tight end still, and I get that 1st-round player, either wide receiver or running back.
So this is where it pays to be prepared. I was hoping Terrence Ferguson would fall to me at the 3-4. So obviously it depends what's going to happen here. So I try to always get a tight end every draft. They're great guys to put on the taxi squad. Nate, we've talked about that ad nauseum. Yeah. So my backup plan is right now, I'm going to hope that Gunnar Helm falls to me at the 4-4. He's a guy that I've been getting in the 4th and 5th round a lot in mocks and the few drafts that I've done. So obviously that depends. There's a whole round between my next 2 picks. Obviously, if this were a real rookie draft, I'd probably be trying to trade up a little bit in some capacity, but I wouldn't try to do it too early. I would wait and see how kind of a little bit of the 3rd round fell to me and then try to make a move from there. So let's see what Sean does with his remaining 10 seconds. If he does it, he's online.
Sean.
Sean is about to get fired. What do we got? I'm going to get screwed. Nope, I didn't. That's okay, because you know what? I like Jadon Blue. but I'm going to go ahead and draft a starting quarterback at the 3-4. Let's catch up. Got Jalen Noel. I still don't know if I'm saying that right. Sorry, everybody.
It's Noel. Yep.
No. Elijah Arroyo at the 3-2. We talked about it on the pod. We heard about the Seahawks offensive coordinator talking about how he could possibly play in the DK Metcalf role in some points. So going to be interesting to see how that with Noah Fant works out. Jalen Blue at the 3-3, auto-selected for Sean. And then I took Tyler. Yes.
Whenever you tell me a tight end is going to play wide receiver,
I knew you'd hate this.
Just doesn't usually work that way. If he could play wide receiver, he'd be a wide receiver.
That's true.
It's the NFL. Come on.
So I took Tyler Shuck, the 3-4, getting a starting quarterback at the 3-4. Typically, I say you don't want to be drafting starters on your team this year in the 3rd round. But if it falls to you, it falls to you, right?
Absolutely. And I think in the 2nd round it's a little early because I just don't believe in the longevity of Tyler Shuck.
Yeah.
But he's a starting quarterback who's going to be playing this year. Now, does he play the whole year? I don't know. He better be decent at least. But he's going to get a very, very, very good shot. So I think, once you get to like the 2-8, I think he's a pretty easy selection anywhere past that.
The good thing about Tyler Shuck this year too, if you have a team and you're in the middle to the back end of the 2nd round and you're thinking to yourself, I need a QB3 right now and nobody wants to make a move, he's the perfect guy. Got Jalen Milroe at the 3-5, which I think is a good spot for him as well. Kyle Williams, Nate's favorite wide receiver from the draft, at the 3-6.
Still probably.
Dylan Sampson at the 3-7. So Huss loading up on the Cleveland running backs. Nate getting sniped at the 3-08 with Devin Neal. Got Jalen Royals of the Kansas City Chiefs going at the 3-9. Harold Fannin at the 3-10. And Elick Aomanor at the 3-11, bolstering the Titans wide receiver room. So, Nate, why don't you make your pick, and then I'm going to talk to everybody about Fantrax.
All right. I was really hoping to get Aomanor here, so I did get sniped here. But someone that I've come around recently on, Mike, and I talked about him in a video a little bit ago, is Jarquez Hunter, running back for the Rams. I really like the role that he's going to have on the team. He is more explosive than Kyron Williams or Blake Corum, who both of them have great vision, great patience behind the line of scrimmage, but neither one of them are, the elite athletes that we like to see at the running back position. They both would have run, Blake Corum, I don't know if he ran. Kyron Williams ran like a 4.6. Blake Corum probably would have run a 4.6 as well. So I'm really happy to get this guy. He ran a 4.4. He's got that explosiveness and brings something different to this backfield. So I think for the 3-12, pretty happy with getting a piece of that.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good spot for him to go in this draft as of right now. All right, so listen, we want to talk to you guys, and I know we're using Sleeper right now. I will say this. I talked to Nick Scripp. He works with Fantrax. He's our liaison. They're working on making it easier to do mock drafts on Fantrax. So talk to him about it. He says they know. They're working on it. See, this is what I like. Good back-end support. Fantrax is the most customizable fantasy platform in the industry, offering the greatest fantasy experience for your Dynasty, Keeper, Redraft, and Best Ball leagues. You can create or join a fantasy football commissioner league, invite your friends, and dominate your draft this season. Go deep with the Ultimate Keeper and Dynasty leagues. Create a simple redraft league or even a customizable best ball league with up to 2,000 teams. Again, if you do that, please let me know. I want to know all about that. Fantrax's free NFL Fantasy Football League Manager is the most customizable, easy to use, and feature-rich platform in the industry. Coming from another service, Fantrax can easily import any of your current leagues, players, and even customize if needed. Hey, if you ever had a trade go wrong or make a mistake in dropping a player, good news. Fantrax Commissioner tools allow you to undo any move with one simple click. Fantrax is among the most trusted name in fantasy sports since 2008. It's not just NFL, baseball, basketball, hockey, college basketball, college football, golf, soccer, and NASCAR. I didn't know they had fantasy NASCAR, but they do. And of course, Fantrax has it. If there's anything lacking in your current fantasy league manager, Fantrax likely has it. Fantasy sports does not sleep, and neither does Fantrax, with seasons running 365 days a year. There's a reason why fantasy players who try Fantrax make it the permanent home for all their fantasy leagues. If you want to sign up, fantrax.com/Dynasty Rewind. Nate, so I took Gunnar Helmet to 4-4. I think after this season, I do believe Chig's going to leave. He's going to have a fantastic opportunity down there. And we got Savion Williams at the 4-5. This might be the earliest I've seen him go.
Day 2 wide receiver, though. I get it. Take a shot on him. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, he's traitsy, so I get it. Then we got Kyle Monangai going to Chicago at the 4-6. Rondé Gadsden at the 4-7. This is Ty Felton, right?
Out of Maryland, go Terps.
Yeah, there we go. He's at the 4-8. DJ Giddens at the 4-9. A guy I loved before the draft, but didn't love the landing spot. Then that being said, Jonathan Taylor's been getting banged up a lot. This might work out better than you think. And I think D Cook's getting a good value here at the 4-9. We got Trevor Etienne at the 4-10. Nate, you're on deck or in the hole, however they say it.
I'm on deck.
All right, there you go. You're on
in the
deck.
hole would be third.
What are you thinking here?
At the top of my queue here, actually, the same player that you have on your queue.
Ooh, so I'm going to get sniped, aren't I? Unless Caleb takes it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Torrey Horton, who I'm expecting to play the X for Seattle. They have JSN there, they have Cooper Kupp there, but I don't expect either of them to play the X. So Torrey Horton, that role is yours as long as you can beat out Jake Bobo and maybe Elijah Arroyo if he's actually going to play wide receiver. We'll see. Otherwise, I'm also looking at Deontay Thornton, wide receiver for the Raiders. He was picked on day 3, who, from what I've heard, has had a pretty good training camp, is currently the starting X wide receiver, which is what I said back in May, that he could be the starting X wide receiver for the Raiders because they have Jacoby Myers there, they have Jack Besh there, they have Trey Tucker there. None of those guys are that X wide receiver. Deontay Thornton is the only guy that can really play that role. So, Mike, I have to make a decision now because both of these guys I have rated pretty similar.
Who do you like better?
I've talked up Torrey Horton quite a bit. So I'm going to go Deontay Thornton. I just got to mix it up a little bit, And you still have a chance for the 4-4, the 5-4 to get Torrey Horton, which would be a steal, honestly, at your position. But I'm excited about the training camp hype I've heard about Deontay Thornton. It's training camp hype, so I barely believe it. But the fact that he is running with the ones right now at the starting X, I'm willing to take a chance on that. Sorry, Mike. You still got sniped.
All right. Well, why don't you talk about Rondé Gadsden, and then I can figure out my next move.
All right. Rondé Gadsden coming out of Syracuse. We didn't get to talk too much about him, but he goes to the Chargers where they have Tyler Conklin, which I will say I do like Tyler Conklin a lot as a great fantasy asset who's always a consistent player. But Rondé Gadsden coming out of Syracuse, he's got a really interesting frame, 6'5". He's actually up to 243 when he came into the combine, but I suspect that he plays more like 235. He's got like a leaner frame to him. Used to be a wide receiver, kind of played that wide receiver tight end role. Is that big slot wide receiver / slot tight end. And with the Chargers, that role is kind of open, depending on how Quentin Johnston's used. I don't think Tyler Conklin's necessarily going to be used, will be used that way some, but Gadsden offers a lot of pass catching ability out of the tight end position. Not so much of a blocker, but a really good pass catcher. So if they find a way to use him, he does have a lot of upside as a pass catcher. He's got good speed to him. He's got good size to him, great hands. I like what he brings to the table, but as a 5th round pick and a team that, isn't necessarily the biggest passer of the ball, we don't know what we're going to get to see out of him, but he can definitely give us some pass catching upside. And that's what I think people are excited about when they're going to pick him in the 4th round, which I think is a great place to pick him, quite honestly.
So after your pick at the 5-1, we had Torrey Horton, Xavier Estrepo at the 5-2. Then who is this here? Jalen Lane, right? At the 5-3.
Yep. I like Jalen Lane.
Who did I get? Taj Brooks? Just says T Brooks.
Yeah, Taj Brooks.
Assuming it's Taj Brooks. Ja'Cory Grosky Merritt, where if you're a patron, you would have heard that name on Small School Big Player of the Week on Rewind After Dark. Sorry, Nate and I's Patreon show. Will Howard at the 5-6. Quinn Ewers at the 5-7. Another guy that I've been taking dart throws on in the 5th round. I've heard a lot of good things about him. Minicamp. Isaac Tesla at the 5-8. Still think he's going to be better for the NFL than fantasy. LaQuint Allen, the best running back in Jacksonville at the 5-9. Damian Martinez at the 5-10. Nate, you got one more pick coming up.
I'm currently looking at maybe Phil Maffa, running back who went to the Dallas Cowboys because it's open backfield there. Looking at Raheem Sanders, one undrafted, but we love the talent of Raheem Sanders. Goes to the Chargers, a place where he's not going to get past Marion Hampton, but maybe there's an opportunity to be somewhere in the backfield there.
Trey Stewart. He was a small school big player of the week.
You do like yourself some Trey Stewart.
5'8", 186.
Hey, Montrell Johnson went to the Eagles. I like him. But I will say there's not a ton of options at wide receiver.
Nick
I
Nash.
could go with Efton Chisholm. You heard that name? He's been pretty popular training camp hype out of the Patriots.
18 seconds.
The new white slot receiver. I think I'm going to go Phil Maffa just because there's a lot of unknown in the Cowboys backfield, and you never know what might happen. He is, kind of that bigger back. Jaden Blue I like a lot in his situation, but Phil Maffa, if it's not Miles Sanders and it's not Javonte Williams somehow, Phil Maffa could be the Thunder. He could be the Javonte Williams replacement. So we'll see.
All right. How do you say the guy that was taken before you again?
Shoot, I've heard it a couple different times. I'm gonna say it's like Chimere Dyke or something like that.
Okay, just making sure. And he took Phil Maffa at the 512. So, but there is our beautiful mock draft. Just so you know, if you sign up for the Patreon and do a mock draft with us, all of this will go towards the Dynasty Rewind ADP. That's the ADP that we use when we do stuff about rookies and everything like that. So you can help contribute to that. So again, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. Set up a league on Fantrax, fantrax.com/Dynasty Rewind. Check out our website, dynastyrewind.com. All sorts of great stuff over there. And Nate, do you have anything to add before we head out for the evening?
No, I'm just excited that we have the website up. We have new articles on there every single week. We got all the bonus podcasts we're doing for our patrons as well. Mike and I do a podcast. Hoff does a freshman 15 podcast on college football. He's talking about top quarterbacks in the C leagues right now. So lots of good stuff going over here at the Dynasty Rewind.
Yeah, so definitely come check us out. I mean, look, the articles you could read for free. You can sub to us on Spotify for free. Same thing with YouTube. So you can support us without a monetary donation. We appreciate anything that you can do for us. So until next time, for Nate, I'm Mike. Thanks for listening.